Chapter 1057. Hilton finally knew what kind of scam he had experienced. It turned out that Ian was not as rich and successful as he said. Not only that, but he also caused a disaster. He crashed Sean's Phaeton and urgently needed to buy a new one for Sean, which is the fundamental reason why he boasted about making money and deceived himself to get him more than $600,000. But the worst thing now is that this bastard is dead. In other words, don't even want to get back your $620,000. At this time, his heart was painful, more painful than the wound on his body. Sean, who beat him violently, saw that he was no longer crazy as he was just now, and he was a little relieved, and said to him, "You can see clearly this time. I am going to drive away myself. There's nothing wrong with the car." Although Sean looked down on Hilton in his heart, Hilton's crazy state just now made him somewhat jealous. He also mixed up all the way, so he knows that this kind of person is actually very scary. If he really angsts him, he is likely to desperately fight with you. So it is better not to provoke such a person, at least not to provoke him. When Hilton heard his words, his heart was already gloomy. He didn't even dare to think about what he should do in a week. Because, after a week, some platforms are about to start repayment. By that time, they will not have the money, and they don't know how they will treat themselves. Seeing that he was in a daze, Sean seemed to be lost in a daze, so he didn't bother to talk nonsense with him anymore, so he got into the car and started and drove away. Hilton sat on the ground alone, smelling the exhaust left by the Phaeton car, tears streaming down his face. His tears kept streaming, mixed with blood and dust on his face, leaving 2 obvious tear marks on his face. His guy who drove a tow truck dared to jump out of the car, walked to him, squatted down, patted him on the shoulder and asked, "Do you want me to call the police for you?" Hilton cried and said, "I'm done, the person who cheated me is also dead, what's the point of calling the police?" The other party didn't know what he had gone through. At this time, he sighed softly and said, "Then can't you drive the car?" Hilton looked at him and yelled, "You're so fing blind, didn't you watch the car and let people drive away? I'm dragging a feather." The other party couldn't help but frown and thought, "If I had just yelled, you would have been beaten to death. I am kindly coming over to care about you now. Did you pretend to be with me? Okay, then you can pretend it yourself, Uncle won't play with you." Thinking of this, he stood up and said to Hilton, "Then if you don't want to tow the truck, I will leave." Hilton came back to his senses and hurriedly said, "You return the $1,000 to me before leaving." The other party said angrily, "You are arguing with us. I don't need money to drive all the way. I drive a car in the repair shop. As long as I go out, the repair shop will assume that I have started to pick up the job, regardless of you. If the car is not towed, I have to report the income to the repair shop when I go back." Hilton angrily said, "I don't care about your reasons, it has nothing to do with me. I only know that I didn't let you tow the car, so you have to return my money to me." The other party was also anxious, and said in a huff, "I said you don't understand people's speech. The repair shop has regulations. As long as you leave the car, you will charge a fee. You ask me to return the money to you. Go back to the repair shop and ask me for money, what should I do?" Hilton said coldly, "I'm the one who cares about you, what does it have to do with me? You quickly return the money to me." The other party did not expect that this person would not speak any truth at all, and said angrily, "A person like you deserves to be deceived and deceived you into bankruptcy."